chair. Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Major apartment fire. 15 people are out of their homes in Raleigh. Detail of how last night's severe storm impacted so many.
And that storm is out of here. You see the cold front moving to the coast. We get a little bit of a reprieve from our high heat index, but we are looking at weather alert days for next week for intense heat.
And the cost to fuel up. Prices at the pump are elevated this morning. Why experts say this rise in prices has to do with the conflict in the Middle East. Tell you where those prices stand compared to last week and what to look forward to this weekend. I'm Jeff Hogan. Good to have you on a Friday.
And I'm Renee Chu. Yes, we get a little reprieve from the heat today, so looking forward to that. Perfect on a Friday. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. Of course, this is just certainly just something that we are tracking all morning long.
And we'll start here with a live look at Raleigh. This is a look at North Hills, and everything is nice and quiet. Our skies are starting to clear across the region. 73 is the temperature, dew point is 69. Now, that's not that much different from what we saw this time yesterday. But as we head into the afternoon, you're going to notice a subtle change. It's not a big change. We're not talking about, dropping to 80 degrees or anything like that. But we're looking at a few 60s there. Roxborough, South Hill, 74 in Southern Pines, 75 in Clinton, 72 in Goldsboro. That front is on its way out, and you can see a slight difference in a few places. Anywhere from a degree or two to up to 6 to 7 degrees cooler right now than it was this time yesterday. Our hour-by-hour forecast keeps us at 83 at lunchtime instead of 90. And instead of 95, we're going to keep temperatures at around 90. The biggest difference will be it's not as humid. So yesterday, it was feeling like 100. Today, it's actually just going to feel like 91, just 91. But that definitely changes as we get into next week. We have extreme heat in our forecast. We could hit 100 Monday and Tuesday, and both of those days will be weather alert days.
Thanks, Elizabeth. We have breaking news we're following this morning. 15 people are out of their homes after a fire. It happened in Raleigh on Bluebird Court, right near Jones Franklin Road, and it started after a tree fell onto some power lines during last night's storm. Ali Kadlubar is at that apartment complex right now this morning on the WRAL Breaking News Tracker, and Ali, fire crews were forced to turn off the power for several buildings there.
Yes, Jeff, and the good news is that we've actually seen some of these lights start to turn on, and Duke Energy actually left. Now you can see, and that light and that utility line connected to this apartment building, that's where this fire all started. Now take a look at this video shared with us by one of the residents here. This is at the Dutch Village Apartments. And this was shared with the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. You can see the flames rising from the attic in the back of the building. When we got there, the Raleigh battalion chief tells me there were about 60 firefighters just trying to help extinguish this major fire. Luckily, no one got hurt. Raleigh Fire Department tells me the fire started when overnight storms knocked down some branches and caused a power line to fall. Now, this video shows the damage of what it caused. It did not spread to living spaces, but of course, residents cannot get back in now. About 80 customers nearby were without power or are without power. That's according to the Duke Energy outage map. They haven't updated it yet, but we have, again, still seen those lights start to turn on. We also saw earlier this morning, we saw a crews trying to saw off some of those branches from the power line. So a lot of progress has happened. The scene now cleared. We're going to keep you updated throughout the morning. Reporting in Raleigh, Ali Kadlubar, WRAL News.
Energy crews worked through the night to restore outages brought on by the storm. In the last 15 minutes, we have seen improvements just here in Wake County. Fewer than 600 people are now without power. More than 2,000 customers in Durham remain in the dark at this time, and an improvement from around 8,000 where we were at midnight. Similarly, about 2,000 without power in Vance County this morning.
New developments out of the Middle East overnight as the conflict between Israel and Iran enters its second week. First responders in southern Israel are searching for injured people after an office building was hit by an Iranian strike. Video from Israel's Emergency Services Agency shows the damage left behind. So far, there have not been any new reports of death or injuries. The conflict between the two sides began last Friday after Israel launched a series of strikes that killed Iranian military officials. President Trump is giving a timeline of 2 weeks before he makes his final decision on whether the U.S. will strike Iran.
The conflict between Iran and Israel is having far-reaching impacts here in North Carolina. We're seeing elevated gas prices because of that turmoil in the Middle East. The average price for a gallon of regular gas in North Carolina right now is $2.93, up 8 cents from a week ago. In Raleigh, the prices are an average of $2.96 a gallon. Nationwide, the cost is around $3.22 for a gallon of regular. WRAL's Laura Levine is at the Exxon on Western Boulevard in Raleigh. And Laura, break down how tensions all the way in Israel are reaching all the way back here to Raleigh.
Jeff, good morning. Well, tension in the Middle East began exactly a week ago today, and we are already beginning to see a ripple effect here at the pumps. At many places here in Raleigh, you're going to be paying almost 10 cents more than you were a week ago. So drivers preparing for summer vacation road trips or the 4th of July plans, they should really begin to prepare for a possible price hike. An analyst with Gas Buddy tells us prices could rise by 10 to 20 cents, while diesel could climb 15 to 25 cents in the coming days. So here's why. Experts say that when there's instability in one major oil-producing region, prices tend to rise everywhere, not because of an immediate supply issue, but because of fear that one could happen. And that fear, often reflected in oil futures markets, can affect prices at the pump, even here at home.
Could eventually see prices back above that $3 a gallon mark, so long as the situation persists and or worsens. Prices may drift a little bit higher than that. But if the situation does start to de-escalate, we may eventually start to see prices recede. But at this point, I think there's a little bit more upward momentum.
And it's not just about filling up your tank here. Oil and gas prices could also impact the cost of transporting goods through the supply chain. So, of course, this is something that we will certainly have to keep an eye on in the coming days. Laura Levine, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
This morning, crews will be back on the water looking for a fisherman who was swept away at a dam near Jordan Lake and Haw River. Chatham County responders received a call about the missing man during the height of last night's storms. They say a 21-year-old fell into the water and was swept away. The Chatham County Sheriff's Office says the area is known for fast currents. A security guard at the lake said deputies were waiting for the storms to clear out before sending helicopters up in the area.
More breaking news this morning. Police in Zebulon say someone started shooting inside the community park during a private event. In a statement, town officials say nobody was hurt. On-site security shut down the private event that was happening. The town says its Juneteenth celebration scheduled in the park tomorrow will go on as planned.
A Fayetteville police officer charged with sexual battery stood before a judge. Officer Jacob Jones had his first court appearance yesterday. Jones is accused of inappropriately touching someone while reviewing surveillance video for an investigation. In court, the district attorney said another person has come forward claiming to be a victim as well. Police say this happened in May. The judge made the decision to reduce Jones's bond from $25,000 to $10,000 secured.
The LA Dodgers say they denied a request from ICE agents to access the parking lot at Dodger Stadium. Anti-ICE protesters showed up at Dodger Stadium after several federal agents pulled over near the ballpark there. The Dodgers said on X that ICE agents came to Dodger Stadium and requested permission to access the parking lots. The team says they denied the agency entry to the grounds. ICE responded to the Dodgers post on X saying, "False, we were never there." The Department of Homeland Security also replied saying Border Patrol vehicles were in the stadium parking lot very briefly, unrelated to any operation or enforcement.
The oldest fraternity at UNC Chapel Hill has been shut down. University officials say Alpha Tau Omega was closed by its board because of numerous reports of member misconduct, including alcohol violations. The fraternity CEO told the Daily Tar Heel the chapter's financial dishonesty also played a role. The CEO claimed they allowed expelled members to continue to pay rent and fees. The fraternity is no longer recognized as a student organization.
State Senate passed a bill that would block people under the age of 21 from buying products containing THC. North Carolina currently has no age limit in place. The bill would limit how much THC drinks, edibles, and vapes could contain. It would also completely ban synthetic THC like Delta 8 and Delta 10, as well as kratom. Retailers would have to pay for a license to sell the products, which would be regulated, much like alcohol, and THC products would have to be tested for safety. The measure now goes to the State House.
Car brake failure. Honda is recalling thousands of cars because of brake pedals fastened incorrectly. The models impacted by the dangerous error.
Reshaping RTP, zoning changes will bring new development to the park. The push to make the area more than just a hub for workers.
And we'll give you a live look at the General Assembly and downtown Raleigh as we wait for the sun to rise on this summer solstice. Today, we'll have the most daylight hours that we will see all year. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner shares just how hot that sun will get in the coming days just ahead.
From the WRAL Severe Weather Center, North Carolina's most experienced team of meteorologists.
443, taking a live look across our area. It's definitely warm out there. 73 in Wilson and Durham. It's 76 degrees in Fayetteville. Our cold front just moved by, and as we get through the day today, we're not necessarily going to see an extremely cool, a much cooler day today, but what we will see is a nice drop in our humidity. So we'll see a high in the low 90s for today, but it's not going to feel like 100 like we've seen the last several days. Skies are clear behind our front. You can see the tower lit in blue here right behind us. And heading out the door this morning, you might notice that drop in humidity. It may be a little later today. We may need to, spend a little time to get more of that dry air in, but definitely not as humid as we get through the day today, even though our temperatures are starting off warm. Still going to be a great day at the pool. We have almost no thunderstorm activity in our forecast. We'll see a high of 91 this afternoon. We will see more heat and humidity building through the weekend, though. We'll take a look at that coming up.
A Chucky doll from the movie Child's Play is at the center of a discrimination lawsuit. A Rocky Mount woman says Truist Bank violated the Americans with Disabilities Act when her manager put a Chucky doll on her office chair. In her lawsuit, the woman says it happened after she told him about her intense fear of dolls. The woman was diagnosed with PTSD after the incident. WRAL has reached out to Truist for comment on the lawsuit. We haven't heard back.
Honda is recalling more than 259,000 of its cars because the brake pedal could shift out of position. The recall covers certain Honda Pilots between model years 2023 and 25. It also affects some of the company's Acura brand vehicles. The recall report says the brake pedal pivot pin in some of the cars was not secured properly during production. That can lead the pedal to shift out of place, increasing your risk for a crash. If your car is affected, you can take it to your local Honda dealer, have the brake pedal inspected and fixed for free. RTP is getting a makeover. A zoning change was approved by the Wake County Board of Commissioners, allowing for growth in Research Triangle Park. WRAL's Sean Gallagher reports the 55,000 people who work there every day won't have to leave.
The splash pad is a welcome relief on this steamy Juneteenth.
It's a beautiful sight, and the weather is perfect.
I hear you.
And hot.
Erica and Kia stopped by this Juneteenth celebration with their little ones in a space they haven't visited yet.
I don't normally come over to this side, but I have been over here, but I haven't seen it in a while, so the development has been really nice. It's really beautiful over here.
Is this a good example of what you imagined for this area?
Yeah.
And Scott Levitin with the Raleigh Triangle Foundation says Hub RTP is meant to host great community events like this, and they hope the new changes for all of RTP will make events like this even bigger.
This is really the beta site for the next 50 years for RTP. You can see the pavilions.
It really is hard for him to contain his excitement for the future. Change, he says, the area is ready for.
And the model for research and development and translational research and collaboration between companies, universities, investors, it has completely changed. And the physical zoning and entitlement model for RTP has not changed.
There are some 7,000 acres of land in RTP, and until now, it's space that's been all business. But the zoning changes are allowing for non-research related business and residential space.
You have retail and amenities and a health club and recreational facilities and residential. I'm very proximate to your work. Is really a model that many newer research parks have undertaken.
The new zoning would open up about 500 acres of space for businesses to redevelop if they choose, about 7% of the total land here. So the R in RTP will always stand for research, but also rezoning for residential, recreation, and really good times.
As you can see today, this warms my heart. It is very right.
That was Sean Gallagher reporting. Just over a quarter of RTP sits within Wake County borders. The rest is in Durham County. So its Board of Commissioners will take a look at a similar zoning request.
4:48 the time right now. You know, sometimes it's June 20th, sometimes it's the 21st. That summer solstice today is the longest day of daylight of the year, one of my favorite days.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
Boy, I love the early daylight. And, you know, right now it's 4:48. We give it another 15 minutes. We're going to start to see a little daylight showing up here. It is clear this morning. Our front from yesterday was very active. We had severe thunderstorm watch, lots of warnings. We had wind damage. It was a pretty rough evening for a lot of folks. But that's out of here. And this is kind of an interesting and ironic treat. We're going to see our dew points dropping today, so today won't feel as muggy. We'll have the lowest heat index that we'll see for the next 7 days today on the first day of summer. We'll take it, right? 73 is our current temperature. Some 60s up around Roxborough and South Hill, mid-70s for Fayetteville and Clinton, and around the Triangle it looks like this. 70 in Holly Springs, Apex and Cary, 70 in Garner, Knightdale, and Rollsville, and even some 60s up around Durham and Chapel Hill. We'll see a high in the low 90s for this afternoon. That's a little bit cooler than yesterday as we were looking at mid-90s with that heat index up around 100. And we just won't see a heat index today, so it'll actually be feeling like 91, 92 for this afternoon. Of course, it is Pride weekend in downtown Raleigh on Fayetteville Street, and not bad, actually. 6 o'clock, 87, 82 at 8 o'clock. There'll be events all weekend on Fayetteville Street, and it kicks off this evening, and the weather looks nice for that. What does happen as we get through the weekend is by Sunday, we're back under this big high-pressure system. It may end up being a record strong high-pressure system for this time of year. High-pressure systems have sinking air. That sinking air compresses and warms, and when that high moves back over us, here's what happens. Not so bad today. This is our heat index today, 92, 96 for Saturday, but then by Sunday, it feels like 102, and then by Monday and Tuesday, we're into some extreme heat. We already have weather alert days in place for Monday and Tuesday. The actual high, 100, but it could feel like almost 110 out there. Our heat risk Monday is major, and then on Tuesday, it turns purple, and that's going to be extreme. So it may feel even more dangerous for us on Tuesday. We only average one 100-degree day per year. The earliest is usually July 13th, the latest October the 3rd, but here we go with 2 of them in our 7-day forecast. We have very little chance for showers and thunderstorms. I'll show you how that could affect our drought monitor coming up.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Hidden history uncovered in western North Carolina. Low water levels are revealing buried treasures at Lake Lure. A century-old find with links to some current residents.
And decades of danger. For 50 years, Jaws has inspired terror below the ocean waves. How the film is being honored for its milestone birthday. It's a golden anniversary for a horror film, making people fear the ocean for the last 50 years. I can hear the music.
Isn't that the truth? Dun, 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 dun. Douglas Hyde takes a look at the many celebrations in the works for Jaws.
You yell shark, we've got a panic on our hands on the 4th of July.
After 50 years, you probably thought it was safe to go back in the water again. Well, Jaws is back and celebrating its golden anniversary. Director Steven Spielberg has recorded a new introduction for the 1975 classic, which is now streaming along with its sequels exclusively on Peacock. A special 50th anniversary edition is also now out on 4K Ultra HD, Blu-ray, and digital.
The Academy Museum of Motion Pictures, the world's largest museum dedicated to movie making, is thrilled to announce Jaws, the exhibition.
LA's Academy Museum of Motion Pictures is launching the largest exhibit ever dedicated to Jaws in September.
There are over 200 objects that will be on view in this exhibition, and we've been working in close partnership, of course, with Steven Spielberg, so we can tell behind-the-scenes stories in a way that the public has never experienced before.
We were on the real ocean, and we were way out of our element for 5 months, and we all began going off the deep end, literally.
Jaws was, as they say in Hollywood, a difficult shoot, especially for Spielberg. Documentary filmmaker Laurent Bouzereau delves into that in Jaws at 50, The Definitive Inside Story, which premieres on Nat Geo, Disney Plus, and Hulu next month.
The toll that it took on him and what it did to him, the good and the bad, was the thing that was really a revelation for me.
You're going to need a bigger boat.
In Hollywood, I'm Douglas Hyde.
Just never gets old anytime it's on, right? And it's going to be on tonight. You can watch Jaws tonight on WRAL starting at 8 p.m. Lake Lure has dropped nearly 30 feet in the aftermath of Tropical Storm Helene. That is revealing some long-lost treasures. The lake was originally filled in 1927. And back then, a developer brought a water taxi for the residents. Bought one, I should say. The boat was named Pooh Bear, and a storm blew through, taking the boat to parts unknown until recently. A docking company discovered a vehicle dating back to the 1920s, and now, a century later, descendants of that developer are learning more about their family's history.
I'd love to have a small piece of memorabilia from it for my family to keep. And if the boat ends up staying right where it is, I'd be fine with that.
Oh yeah, Lake Lure Dock Company and lake officials are working together to figure out what to do with the boat Pooh Bear. Crews also uncovered a 1920s truck and are continuing to search for more hidden treasures.
4:57 on your Friday morning. Displaced by fire. 15 people are out of their home after an apartment fire in Raleigh. The lasting impacts from storms across the area.
Crews are on the water. The search resumes today after a fisherman was swept from his boat on Jordan Lake. It's going to be a hot weekend on the way all around the Triangle. A live look in Zebulon. Good morning to you. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner tracks the warm-up as we approach our first 100-degree day of the year.